إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. أما بعد, we continue with the major sin series. Inshallah, we'll be continuing the second and third Friday of every month. With the second and third Friday of every month, inshallah Azza wa Jal, we'll continue through the series. We're up to the 26th major sin, and this is about oppressing people via taking their wealth. So we spoke about oppression in general, and we spoke about stealing in general. This is specifically oppressing people via taking their wealth. And this is something which happens in many ways, whether it's from governments stealing the money off the people, or not giving the people their rights. It could be someone who is a guardian over someone else. For example, someone has passed away and you were entrusted to look after the child, and they were given a certain amount of inheritance and you don't give it to the child. It could be your own children. That, for example, your daughters and your sons are meant to get a split share of your inheritance, so you impress them in not giving it to them. It could be your wife, that your wife, you don't give her financial rights from her mahar or what she deserves based on the customs of the people as a weekly allowance for her to fulfill her needs. Or it could be the wife in nowadays in Australia and other parts of the Western world taking the rights of the men. For example, after they get divorced, she's not happy with what Sharia gave her. Rather, she's more happy to take him to court and get a much larger percentage of what she would normally get. So all of these are ways of oppressing people via taking their wealth. Also, on a more individual and common basis, you have an unfortunate phenomenon now where you have Muslims standing over other Muslims for protection money or to go collect debts or whatever it may be. So a person goes to the shops, knocks on the door and says, if you want to keep your shop open in this area, you need to give me $10,000 a month. This is an unfortunate reality. Or someone has a debt with someone else, and so he sends a few people there to physically abuse him and to make him pay that money, or to intimidate him to get his money back. All of these are forms of gaining wealth via oppressing someone else. Or it could be you cheating. It could be you cheating, and this happens a lot, unfortunately, as well. On some people on their resumes, instead of putting the truth, what they actually have studied, what actual work experience they have, they lie. So they say, I've worked in this company for 5 years, when really he hasn't. And he got the job based on that false qualification. So now he has disadvantaged other people by making himself look more qualified than someone else, but it was based on a lie. All of these and many other forms are forms of people taking the wealth of someone else, either directly or indirectly, via means of oppression. And all of these are haram and a major sin. And we'll see some of the verses and some of the ahadith that are mentioned in this particular book, The Major Sins, by Imam al-Dhahabi rahmatullahi alayh, which teach us and show us the importance of staying away from such matters, because these matters are not minor, and things are taken, if not into account in this world, then definitely in the hereafter. The author starts rahmatullahi alayh with a verse from the Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or with a few verses from the Quran, the first two being, وَلَا تَحْسَبَنَّ اللَّهَ غَافِلًا عَمَّا يَعْمَلُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Do not think that Allah Azza wa Jal is negligent or is neglectful of what the oppressors do. إِنَّمَا يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ لِيَوْمٍ تَشْخَصُ فِيهِ الْأَبْصَارِ. Rather, Allah Azza wa Jal leaves them to a time where they won't even be able to blink. مُهْتِعِينَ مُقْنِعِي رُؤُوسِهِمْ لَا يَرْتَدُّ إِلَيْهِمْ طَرْفُهُمْ وَأَفْئِدَتُهُمْ هَوَاء. On that day, they won't even be able to move their eyes because of how scared they are. He's talking about the Day of Judgment. They won't be able to move their eyes. That's how scared they are. Their eyes are just fixed. And وَأَفْئِدَتُهُمْ هَوَاء. Their insides, their hearts are empty. Meaning they're that scared. And look at this, subhanAllah, look at the parable Allah is giving. You know, sometimes when you've been in a situation where it's like a faj'ah. It just, all of a sudden, you become extremely scared by something. And then out of nowhere, you just feel like the insides is empty. You feel like you're just hollow. And you can't do nothing, you just freeze. This is what Allah Azza wa Jalla likens the fear of the oppressors on the Day of Judgment. So it's not when someone oppresses someone else that Allah Azza wa Jalla is negligent. No. It's not that Allah doesn't know. No. It's not that Allah is not able. No. It's that Allah Azza wa Jal, He delays these people's accountability to a day where that accountability will really matter. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُمْهِلْ وَلَا يُهْمِلْ. This is a very common statement. Allah Azza wa Jal, He delays, but He's not negligent. So what you see, whether it's on a scale of government oppressing its people, or people oppressing people, if you don't see them being punished straight away, it's not because Allah doesn't know, but rather Allah Azza wa Jal is delaying their punishment. And in delaying their punishment is more torture for them, because they're building up a bigger and worse case for their own souls, so that when they meet Allah Azza wa Jal, their book of bad deeds, unfortunately, is Allahu Alam how long and how great, and their punishment will be in accordance to their sin. Individually, so this is giving some comfort to the one who was oppressed. As for the oppressor, this next hadith which we're going to mention gives comfort to the one who was oppressed and puts fear into the heart of the one who oppresses, even on an individual sale, as we'll find that a little bit later on. The Prophet ﷺ says, من كان عنده مظلمة لأخيه من عرض أو شيء فليتحلله اليوم. Whoever has anything that he has oppressed his brother with, anything that you've oppressed your brother with, whether it's you speaking about his honor, and you're talking about him or his father or his daughter or his personality, and you speak about someone, or anything that he's deserving of, and you've taken it and you've oppressed him in it, fix that problem today. Fix that problem today. من قبل ألا يكون دينار ولا درهم. Before there comes a time where there will be no dinar or dirham. Before there comes a time where there's no dollars and cents. Meaning now, if you, for example, have taken $1,000 of someone, give that $1,000 back today. Because there's going to come a time where that $1,000 is not going to benefit you whatsoever. وَإِنْ كَانَ لَهُ عَمَلٌ صَالِحٌ. If that person, how does in the hereafter, how do the good deeds and the oppression, how does the oppression get dealt with? Through your good deeds and your bad deeds. فَإِنْ كَانَ لَهُ عَمَلٌ صَالِحٌ أُخْذَ مِنْهُ بِقَدْرِ مَظْلَمَتِهِ. On the day of judgment, a person who oppressed another person, he will pay him back with his own good deeds. Because there's no dollars and cents in the hereafter. So the person will pay back the person with his good deeds. You oppressed me worth $1,000, you will take $1,000 worth of hasanat from me on the day of judgment. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَإِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ حَسَنَاتٍ. If he runs out of hasanat, what happens to him? أخذ من سيئات صاحبه فحمل عليه. If he's run out of hasanat and I can't give you any more hasanat, what happens to that person? He starts to take from the sayyat the sins of the other person. I want you to think about this in a different way, not just an oppressive way. He had hasanat or didn't have hasanat? He had hasanat. Yani, does he have goodness in him or not? He has goodness in him. It could be him coming to the masjid. It could be him reading Quran. It could be him having good akhlaq. We need to remember, dear brothers, that Jahannam is not only for the people who are extremely bad. It's not only for the person who doesn't pray, he's got bad akhlaq, he deals in drugs, he's a gambler, he commits zina every night. It's not only for those people. Jahannam is for those who deserve it and who Allah doesn't have mercy on. And that could even be a person that prays. It could even be a person that has good akhlaq. It could be a person who's good to his parents. This is why we need to look at our lives with a holistic approach. We need to say, I need to be good in every aspect of my life. From my ibadah like salah and siyam. From my dealings, I only deal in halal, I only take the halal. From my akhlaq, I'm good to my parents, I'm good to my neighbors, I'm good to my children. Every aspect of our life needs to be upright. Because Allahu Alam, what might take us to Jahannam? How many stories we hear of a person 5 times a day he's praying in the masjid. 5 times a day he prays in the masjid. But dealing wise, he's got 5 houses on riba. What makes you think that you are safe from the punishment of Allah by doing only these good deeds and by purposely and intentionally committing those major sins? A person needs to fear Allah Azza wa Jal in every aspect of his life, including oppressing others. You will pay with the good deeds that you done. So it's as if you're doing ibadah for someone else, because they're going to take your good deeds, and if you were to run out, you're going to take on their sins, wal-'adhu billah. Also, we have in the Hadith al-Qudsi, and we said before, the Hadith al-Qudsi is the meaning is from Allah Azza wa Jal, but the words are from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says that Allah Azza wa Jal said, but it's not Quran. Ya ibadi inni haramtu dhulma ala nafsi wa ja'altuhu baynakum muharrama fala tadhalamu. We've heard this over and over and over again. Allah says, O my slaves, I have made oppression haram upon myself, and I have made it haram between you. So do not oppress one another. In the whole universe, from all of creation, is anyone worthy of oppressing another person? Is anyone worthy of oppressing another person? Generally speaking, no. Tayyib. I'll put it to you in a nicer way. Does the father have the right to take from his son? Does he have the right to take some of his son's rights? Mathalan, the son works day and night. He's the father, he raised him and he put in effort. If the father came and took $100 from the son's wallet, would we see it as being something that bad? Yes or no? No. We're not talking about Islamic ruling. We're saying generally speaking. You wouldn't say that because this father, after Allah, he was the reason that this son is on earth. So if the son, for example, hit the child, it's not like the father hitting the neighbor, because this is his son. He has massive authority over that child. Tayyib. Allah Azza wa Jal, doesn't he own everything that's in the heavens and the earth and everything in between? Aren't we all slaves of Allah? Cannot Allah do everything and anything that He wants with us? Would it be oppression? It would not be oppression. Because Allah owns us. If this is my bottle and I want to throw it on the grass, it's my bottle, I can do whatever I want with it. We are all owned by Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's why they say, if Allah was to put us all in the hellfire, it's not oppression from Allah. Because we are slaves of Allah. But Allah, out of His bounty and His mercy towards us, He has made dhulm haram on Himself. He has made oppression haram on Himself. So if Allah, the King of Kings, the one who owns absolutely everything, has made a dhulm haram on Himself, how about us oppressing others? Who are we to oppress others? And how some people justify certain ways or certain theories or certain philosophies in order to oppress others, and they say, no, I'm doing it for a good reason or for a good cause, or the end justifies the means, etc. It's incorrect. Allah made it haram on Himself. He made it between us haram, and He tells us, so do not oppress one another. And we need to take that into consideration, because as we mentioned, everything Allah Azza has made haram, He made haram for a reason, and He will hold you to account on the day of judgment. Another hadith from the Prophet ﷺ, and this is one also that we've heard over and over and over again, but unfortunately many still fail to implement it. The Prophet ﷺ asks the companions, "Atadruna man al-muflis?" Do you know who the bankrupt person is? Do you know who the bankrupt person is? The companions of the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ya Rasulullah, al-muflisu fina man la dirham lahu wa la dinar." The muflis, the bankrupt person, is the one who doesn't have any dirham or dinar, and he doesn't have any money. I always think about this hadith. Usually when the Prophet ﷺ asks a question to his companions, what's their usual answer? Allahu wa rasuluhu alam. Allah and His Messenger know best. I'm always thinking, why did the companions say to the Prophet ﷺ and give him the answer? Allahu alam, yani in my mind, it's because the answer, with a human logic, is so simple. The bankrupt person is the one who doesn't have any money. Simple. It's very, very, very simple. It's got nothing to do with al-ghayb. It's got nothing to do with any. It's the one who doesn't have any money. Khalas, ya Rasulullah. That's it. Finished. So easy the answer. But the Prophet ﷺ is changing our way of thinking. The Prophet ﷺ is getting us to divert from this limited dunya and what we see in front of us to take this and apply to the hereafter. If you were to ask any human being on the face of the earth who's bankrupt, they're going to give you the same answer. The one with no money. Simple. The one who can't pay back his debts. Very, very simple answer. Prophet ﷺ is saying, no. Change this dunya mentality and make it a mentality of the hereafter. And the Prophet used to do this a lot. So the Prophet ﷺ says, إن المفلس من أمتي من يأتي يوم القيامة يوم القيامة بصلاة وزكاة وصيام وحج فيأتي وقد شتم هذا وقذف هذا وأكل مال هذا وسفك دم هذا وضرب هذا فيعطى هذا من حسناته وهذا من حسناته فإن فنيت حسناته قبل أن يقدم عليه أخذ من خطاياهم فطرحت عليه ثم طرح في النار. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ says, rather the bankrupt person from my ummah, the ummah of Islam, the ummah that's here and it knows that it's working for the hereafter, the bankrupt person is the one who knows, is the one who comes on the day of judgment. He's got salah and zakat and hajj and he's done good deeds. He's done good deeds. But he swore at that person and he slandered that person and he accused that person and he hit that person and he oppressed that person. And so what will happen on the day of judgment? They will take his good deeds. You oppressed me, I want my right, take my good deeds. You hit me unjustly, I want my rights. You swore at me, I want my rights. So they take the hasanat. Until he's got no more hasanat, just like we mentioned the hadith before, what happens? So then, turihat. Their sins are thrown on him. Their sins are thrown on him until the matter is dealt with by Allah Azza wa Jal, and Allah is the best of judges, and then he's thrown into the hellfire. Again, this person had good deeds. And we see this. Some people, they pray, and they've got beads, and they read Quran. But when they're sitting, sometimes even in the masjid, look at that guy, wallah, he looks like he's a beggar. Look how he's dressed. Allahu Akbar. You're in the masjid and you just committed a major sin by slandering someone. And what did we say backbiting is? Because in backbiting in English is different to backbiting in Islam. What's al-ghiba in Islam? Who remembers? ذكر أخاه بما لا يحب. To mention about your brother what? That which he doesn't like. People say, you say, Akhi, you fear Allah, this is backbiting. So wallah, I say to his face. Is that what backbiting is? That's in English, backbiting. Yani wallah, I don't like what you're wearing. Wallah, he looks like a girl what he's wearing. Akhi, you can't say that. Wallah, I say to his face. No, that's not what backbiting is. Backbiting is, if he doesn't like you saying it about him, then you're not allowed to say it. If he doesn't like it, that's it. His car looks like it's going to break down tomorrow. If he doesn't like you saying that, it's haram for you to say it. Wallah, that guy, he's a pencil neck. Look how skinny that guy is. That word is a major sin if he doesn't like it. We need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and know the boundaries of Allah Azza wa Jal. Because these things, these people have hasanat. These people have good deeds. So we need to make sure we're not of the people that are doing good deeds, but we're doing it for others. And how easy it's become, especially on social media. People send up pictures and wallah, wallah, we should fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Never has the fitna been like it is today. How much times a picture gets sent of someone and we sit there laughing at that person on our WhatsApp groups. Allahu alam, how much sins we're committing and because of another person who happened on the other side of the world. We don't even know who he is. But on the day of judgment, that random person that we maybe laughed at here will go and take our sins. We need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially with our tongues and our actions, because we're going to be accountable for every single action and statement and word that we utter in this world on the day of judgment. Regarding oppressing a person, the Prophet ﷺ says, and this is a severe warning, وَاتَّقِ دَعْوَةَ الْمَظْلُومِ فَإِنَّهُ لَيْسَ بَيْنَهَا وَبَيْنَ اللَّهِ حِجَابٌ. And this is فعلا a very scary hadith for the one who oppresses. The Prophet ﷺ tells us, fear the dua, the supplication of the oppressed. Because there is no barrier between the dua and Allah Azza wa Jal. Meaning it's accepted. And we hear of stories at the end that I mentioned in the book, but we see this in our lives. How many of these people who go and oppress others, you find in their children, subhanAllah, their children are very sick. You find they've got extreme problems in their life. You find them, Allahu alam, where they end up, they themselves end up the worst of junkies. Or they themselves end up killed in the most filthiest of ways. Or you see many of them, they have the worst of endings at the end of their life. or they become paralyzed or sick out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Why? It could be one person that made dua against them. And we have to remember, no matter how strong we might be individually, or our gang might be, or our group might be, or our nationality or government might be, Allah Azza wa Jal is stronger than all of us put together. There is no power in the world that can come a centimeter, a millimeter close to the power of Allah Azza wa Jal. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is promising that there is no gap or barrier between the dua of the oppressed, believe that. And when a person is oppressed and maybe can't get his right in this world, then this is his weapon. And this is why, for all of those overseas, this is especially what they should be doing. Turning their dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because they might not be able to physically suppress any oppression towards them, but at least they can make dua. At least they can fix themselves and make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and do what they can out of means. This is Allah Azza wa Jal that we're dealing with. And Allah Azza wa Jal, as we mentioned in the first ayah, He's there. And Allah knows what's happening and Allah's able. But He's just giving them a bit of time. Allah Azza wa Jal is delaying. It's not that He doesn't know. A story at the time of the Prophet ﷺ that happened, and this is now we're talking about Muslims and Muslims. We're not talking about kuffar, we're not talking about them oppressing us or us oppressing them. We're talking about Muslims on Muslims. When some of the companions came back from the trip, the pilgrimage to Al-Habasha, when they went to Abyssinia, and then they came back. And so the Prophet ﷺ is asking them about Abyssinia. What did you see there and how was it, etc. So Jabir radhiyallahu anhu narrates that when he was there, and I'll say it in English, when he was there, he's seeing that a woman, a weak woman, a poor woman, was carrying a jug of water on her head. Just carrying it and walking. And a young boy came and pushed her in the back, and she fell over, and the jar broke. This woman gets up, and she starts telling this person off. So the man, Jabir, is telling the Prophet ﷺ this story. That the woman got up and she started saying, you filthy person, you treacherous person, how will you be on the day of judgment where there is nothing but, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is there and Allah will judge between us, what will you do on that day? So the Prophet ﷺ says, Sadaqat. كيف يقدس الله قوما لا يؤخذ من شديدهم لضعيفهم. Look at where the oppression led. Or look at this form of oppression, which many of us don't see it as oppression. The Prophet ﷺ, after being told this story, and what the woman said, he says, ﷺ, she told the truth. This woman told the truth. He says, ﷺ, how will Allah bless a nation if things aren't taken from the strong to help the weak? Look at the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam today. We have in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam people, unfortunately, that are struggling to eat, struggling to find water, struggling to have basic medicine, struggling to find milk for their babies. And we have people in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, forget the people in the Khalij and the people, I'm not talking about them, I'm talking about us in Australia, in Sydney, people here in CYC. Us. I don't want us to look elsewhere. I want us to look at ourselves. We have people in our communities able, tabarakallah, to build cities. To build cities, wallahi, to build cities. Sometimes when people sit with me and they ask me questions about zakat, wallahi, sometimes in my head, I don't physically show it, but in my head I'm thinking, Allahu Akbar, how can you have that much money? Your zakat, only your zakat is worth this amount of zeros. Allahu Akbar. How are there still poor people in the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? And that's for people that we know personally. Allahu alam, the ones that we don't know. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said us, how will Allah bless a nation? How will Allah bless a nation if it is nothing, it's not taken from their strong to help the weak? The weak are left. That man pushed the woman. Yes, he pushed her. He oppressed her. But how did the Prophet ﷺ tell it to us? That the strong need to help the weak. We need to help the weak get stronger. Many of us, we're not even worried, concerned about the weak. whatsoever. And this is not a sign of a successful ummah. If we want the blessing from Allah, if we want the victory from Allah, if we want the strength from Allah, we need to assist the weak in our ummah. Whether it's in Australia, where we have unfortunately Muslims going to non-Muslim organizations for assistance. We have Muslim women walking into the Red Cross or walking into Anglicare in hijab because she needs a little bit of money to feed her family. We have problems like that. Or we have problems, waliyadu billah, to the extent, and I'm not making an excuse for it, but I'm saying the reality is there, where we have women going and selling their bodies in order for them to feed their children. Or we have young children dying because we didn't pay $10 to send them some milk. And how do we expect victory from Allah? How do we expect the pleasure of Allah? How do we expect the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? One thing that I'm blessed with, and at the same time it hits a calamity with studies, is you realize always, day after day, the responsibility of the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam towards its own people, from da'wah and assistance, etc., etc., etc. And dealing with the community, you find, mashallah, there's a lot of generosity. There's a lot of generosity. Building masajid, building schools, building Quran places, giving for this, giving for that. But you realize how much more we can do as a ummah here in Australia. Just across the water in Indonesia. A few years ago, we seen that video, Save Maryam or whatever it was. What was that? 2 million Indonesians becoming Christian a year or something like that. 2 million Indonesians becoming Christian a year. Why? Not because they believed in Christianity, but just because the missionary, when he came with a bag of rice. In Indonesia, we had brothers when we were studying in Saudi, from their allowance, which was approximately $300 a week, they would spend half and send half back to their families. So for $150 a week, you can pay for a whole da'i's family to live. $150 a month. And that, if you pay $150 a month, that da'i, he can look after his family and he can go out to give da'wah. Imagine the person is able to give 1,000 or 2,000 or 10,000 or 50,000. But we're not hoping. That's right across the water. In Fiji, and the brothers that are from Fiji, how many Muslims don't know the basics of Al-Fatiha? We're able to assist financially and build institutions there, but we don't. In Africa and all of these places, these people love Islam. They don't want to change straight away. And even one of the Christians, they had an interview, one of the Indonesians, I believe it was, that became Muslim, or that they said became a Christian. When they were interviewing him, they were saying, "What's your dream?" You know what the Indonesian said? "My dream is to go to Hajj." He's meant to be Christian, but he's not a Christian, but he just wants the rice. That's all he wants. How much is a bag of rice in Indonesia? $1, $2? But the people that are that poor, that's what they have. They have to take that option. So we have so much ability to help the weak in our ummah, but we don't. One of the benefits was, we're not going to take anything to our graves. Whatever we have in this world, that's what we're going to take with us. That's what we're going to benefit with. This is what we have here. Allah will take care of the rest. Dear brothers, spend in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially for projects that are there to make this ummah strong. Don't worry and don't hold on to your money, wallah, in case tomorrow this happens and this happens and this happens. Wallah, sometimes Allah will give you a test because you think like that. Give for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. As the Prophet did, people became Muslims and they would say, follow this man, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he is a man who spends in the cause of Allah and he doesn't fear poverty. Be like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, spend in the cause of Allah Azza wa Jal, implement this hadith so that we can have some of that blessing in this ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and inshallah the tide can turn and we can be a victorious ummah once again. But don't expect that if the strong are not helping properly and truly and sacrificing from the weak, helping the weak. Regarding the dua of the madloom against a person, now the author, he starts to get into some of the stories that we can benefit from. We spoke about the ayah. We spoke about some of the ahadith which speak about the dangers of a person of a person oppressing another person. Now these are real life stories. One of them is Khalid ibn Barmak. Khalid ibn Barmak was one of the great ministers in the ruleship of Harun al-Rashid. So he is someone, and at the time of Harun al-Rashid, we know that the Muslim Ummah was strong and rich and powerful. So he was someone who lived the life of the life. One thing that happened to him is that he got arrested and he was placed in prison. So his son asked him, Ya abati, بعد العز سرنا في القيد والحبس. Oh my father, after glory, we ended up in chains and in jail, hell. فقال, said Khalid ibn Barmak, he says, يا بني دعوة المظلوم سرت بليل غفلنا عنها ولم يغفل الله عنها. Words, when they say words of gold and silver and. Khalid ibn Barmak, he says to his son, when his son's asking, my father, how after all of this glory that we had and all of this goodness that we had, we ended up in jail and in chains. So his father says, oh my son, the supplication of the oppressed person, it was happening at night. We were negligent, we were careless, we were heedless of their dua against us. But Allah Azza wa Jal was not negligent. Allah heard their dua and Allah answered their dua. I want us to look at our lives individually, how much things go wrong in our life on an individual basis. How much times we say, man, I don't have barakah in my life. How many of us, sometimes our children, he's sick and my son's sick, why? Maybe he had a good job, he lost his job, I don't know. Why are all of these bad things happening to me? Maybe, just maybe, it was that you oppressed someone and that came back and they made dua against you on the spot and it came back to haunt you later on. It could be oppressing the parents, it could be oppressing the wife, it could be oppressing the children, it could be the wife oppressing the husband, it could be you oppressed your neighbor, it could be you oppressed a boss, you oppressed a business partner, it could be you oppressed a customer, whatever it may be. But from one oppression, maybe someone made dua against you and you're dealing with the consequences now and you don't even realize that you're that heedless. We need to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and everything that we can. To show you how minor something can be, but that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will hold you to account, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, Man darba sawtan dhulman uqtussa minhu yawm al-qiyamah. Whoever even hits with one whip, just once, you hit someone one whip, oppressively, Allah Azza wa Jal will make that person, will hold you to account on the day of judgment. And that person will get there right. One whip, you say, okay, I'm not going to whip anyone. It could be one time you hit your child unjustly, or you hit him too hard, or you hit your wife, or the wife does something towards the husband, or it could be a stranger, or it could be someone upset you so you break his window, or you kicked his mailbox, or you egged his house, whatever it may be. Wallah, a lot of people do a lot of things today. Wallah, that guy, I don't like him anyway, khalas, I'm going to charge him an extra $10. $10 for you, it's little. One whip, Allah is going to hold you to account on the judgment, so don't belittle anything. A nice story, and this can be for tarbiyat al-awlad. And this is for the raising of children. It's mentioned about one of the rulers of Persia, Kisra, one of the rulers of Persia, that he got his son a tutor. And this was very common in the olden days, and even until today, where the people of very high class, especially the rulers and the big ministers, etc., they get special tutors to teach their children how to be, how to act, how to talk, how to sit, how to eat, etc., so that they're of the highest standard and the best of character. So it said that one of the kings of Persia, he got a tutor for his son. And this tutor worked on this child until he was of the best of character. He was of the best character, he had the best adab. So one day, the tutor and the tutors could hit the children and do whatever they want. They were like the murabbi. They were called mu'addib. One day, when the tutor saying that, you know what, this child has reached the pinnacle of etiquette. This child is the best of the best. He called for the child. The child came, and for no reason, he started to bash the child. For no reason. The tutor came and he started to bash the child. The child done nothing wrong, haram. I'm a good boy, I've got the best etiquette, I'm top in my class. You hit me for no reason. The boy kept it in his heart the whole time. When the boy, his father, the king, died, naturally, that boy, and he was of the best conduct and etiquette, he became the ruler. Now he's in a position of what? A position of power and authority. He says, bring me the tutor. The tutor comes. And he says to the tutor, when I was a boy, you hit me, why? And he said, the boy, and this is for the fathers and the mothers to teach your children. He said, when I seen that you had the best of conduct and etiquette, I knew that when your father dies, you will be the one to replace your father. And I wanted to teach you how it feels to be physically abused and to be physically abused and oppressed for no reason. So make sure you don't abuse anyone, nor do you physically abuse them. So the tutor understood now. He gave him extra money and he told him to go. This is important for the parents. For us to teach our children from a young age how it feels to oppress other people. So that in the future, they don't go and oppress someone else. And when they're young, for example, Musa's age, Abu Musa, take one of his toys. Don't hit him. Take one of his toys. See how he feels. Dad, but why? And then inshallah in 20 years explain. Remember how you felt when I took your toy for no reason? Yes. Did you like it? No. So make sure you don't ever take a toy or take a possession of someone else. This is a serious matter. And a lot of these adab and these etiquettes and these morals and this conduct, it starts with the raising of a child from a young age. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless her. So many of the lessons I implement today in my day-to-day life were from simple things my mum, one-liners, my mum would tell me when I was young. And if you look at most of the men of my generation, they will tell you, my mother taught me this and my father taught me this when I was young. And if you look at most of the people who are far away from the religion, or you look like they have no life, they just khalas, they walk around, they eat, they sleep, and they wake up. If you look at the way that they are, they'll tell you, I didn't have parents that properly raised me. Yes, they gave me a nice house and nice food, but they didn't teach me anything. They didn't raise me. So these ahadith, these verses of Quran, maybe alhamdulillah as adults we understand the severity of them. Maybe the child doesn't comprehend it. So ensure you use the techniques that you need to in order to teach your children, and this is one of the most beneficial ways, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Just one hadith on the eating of haram. So we know that this is taking the wealth of a person unjustly. Now, for a person who eats haram, we're not just going to worry about halal haram in terms of halal may, haram may. This is one aspect of halal and haram. There's many aspects which people neglect. And that is, for example, the one who took his, why is it right after this chapter? Or there's one in between, but it has the same meaning. That's why we skipped it. When you take the wealth of someone else and you buy your children food with it, and you buy food for yourself with it, what happens? That's you eating haram. Even if it was from the most halal butcher, the money that you earn or that you got, what you bought your meat with it in a haram way. So it becomes haram. Many of us still, we do with haram transactions. It could be, for example, our work. Our line of work may be haram. And we overlook it and we neglect it. So many a time a Muslim works in a bank. And all of his income is haram. And a haram bank, of course, I'm talking about, a riba-based bank. All of his wealth is haram. Maybe he's earning $70,000 to $80,000 a year, $90,000 a year. Every cent he's earning, it's haram. Everything that he's buying is haram. So many people, everything that they buy, I know a person, he has not one cash note in his wallet, or used to. Why? Every transaction he makes on his credit card. So he gets the bonus points. He has the money, everything he does, he gets on his credit card. That you buying that is via a haram means, which is the credit card. even if you say that you're going to pay it back before the interest charge, the fact that you have the credit card is haram. So he's buying everything on the credit card. Now his credit card is haram. He's buying, using the credit card is also haram. He buys his Kohl's shopping, his Woolies shopping, the clothes for his children from Kmart and Target is haram. All of it's haram. How many Muslims, their business is based on haram? He has a truck or a ute which he drives around all day, and that's how he gets to work and comes back from work, and it's a finance to you or car. And that's the car you're driving all day to earn your wealth. Your wealth can be haram. So don't just think, dear brothers and sisters, that wallah, the meat that I bought is a halal or haram. This is one aspect of halal or haram. Also, how did you get the money to buy that? This is another means of halal and haram, which so many people are negligent of. And the Prophet ﷺ says, to the meaning after a longer hadith, he mentions الرجل يطيل السفر أشعث أغبر يمد يديه إلى السماء يا ربي يا رب ومطعمه حرام ومشربه حرام وملبسه حرام وغذي بالحرام فأنى يستجاب له. The Prophet ﷺ mentions the story of a man who he's traveling. أشعث أغبر. He's traveling. أشعث أغبر, and he's desperate. His hair is disheveled. He's dusty. He's been traveling. يمد يديه إلى السماء. He raises his hands to the heavens. يقول يا ربي يا ربي. Oh my Lord, oh my Lord. But his food is haram. His drink is haram. His clothes are haram. And he was nourished in haram. For how's his dua going to be accepted? Let's look at and analyze the 4 traits of this man. What's the first trait? He's a traveler. What's special about the dua of the traveler? The dua of the traveler is accepted. How's his state? Is he comfortable or is he in a bit of hardship? When a person's in hardship, is his dua more sincere or less sincere? More sincere. So his dua is going to be even more precise in sincerity. What does he do with his hands? He raises his up. And if you're making a normal dua, which is not in specific times, then like, for example, Salat al-Jumu'ah, you don't raise your hands when the khatib is making dua. But generally speaking, if it's a general time, you raise your hands. And raising the hands is a means of your dua being accepted. And what does he say at the beginning of his dua? Oh my Lord, oh my Lord. So 100% pure tawheed. He's got tawheed, this man. He's making dua only to Allah. And Allah says, if my slave calls upon me, what do? I answer. So he's got 4 means of his dua being accepted. What did the Prophet ﷺ say? But his food is haram. His drink is haram. His clothing is haram. He was nourished in haram. So how does he want his dua to be accepted? Look at the extent the haram wealth took him. And wallahi, this is dangerous and we need to pay attention. Because so many of us are stuck with riba, and we're so caught up in riba and we're drowning in riba and we could not care less. And then we wonder, I make dua, brother, Allah allow my daughter to put on hijab. I don't know why she's not putting on hijab. I make dua, akhi, I want my son to be a hafiz of Quran. I don't know why he's not a hafiz of Quran. I make dua, akhi, I want to be religious. I want to come to the masjid. But I don't know why I just can't go to the masjid. Look at your life. Is there a haram that you're doing? That you're eating haram? So your end result is haram. فَأَنَّا يُسْتَجَابُ لَهُ. This is a very, very, very powerful statement. It's a rhetorical question. How does he expect his dua to be accepted? Where is his dua going to be accepted from? He buys clothes in credit card. He orders on credit card. Everything. Khalas, just riba. I'm saying riba because it's a common way. Or a person who's ripped 100 people off. I just recently, I know of a man who ripped off people. I'm not going to say an exact amount, but it's in the millions of dollars. He ripped them off. Yani khalas, clear cut, ripped them off. Multiple people. Millions of dollars. And he claims to be religious. This is something we need to take into consideration, not to oppress anyone, and to know how to do with those who oppress us. And also know that for eating that haram, whether it's via the means of oppressing someone and taking their wealth unlawfully, or through other means like working haram or whatever it may be, that these have severe consequences, not only in the hereafter, but in this dunya. Success lies in us following our deen properly, and this is what we need to do, this is what we need to stick to. Even if times might be tough, we do it and we expect the reward. And wallah, Allah, when He sees that you're sincere and He sees that you're truthful, even with that test, Allah will make your path easy. But you need to be sincere and you need to be truthful. And Allah Azza wa Jal, yes, He's going to put tests in your life. That's part of the test. He's going to put tests in your life. That's part of you showing that you're sincere and truthful. But Allah Azza wa Jal will make it easy for you, and you will love the deen, and wallahi, you'll be from the happiest people on earth. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from amongst them, and allow us to read these ahadith and ayat and these stories, and to implement and to stay away from them and implement them in our life. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آل محمد وصحبه أجمعين وجزاكم الله خيرا.